Cleanse your heart. Try to purify yourself and say, God, help me. I need to be lightened. I need some of this weight taken away, this pain. I need to be able to stand in the face of adversity because it is hard. And I'm on everybody's side. I see that body as needing to be healed. And if the part that needs to be amputated is these people at the top, these genocidal maniacs. And that's exactly what's coming. They're committing suicide on themselves. And deep down inside, they know it's true. They know that no matter what they do to try to stop the forces of light coming upon this earth, there's not a damn thing they can do. All their forces of darkness can't do a damn thing. It's coming. It's just like information. It builds and builds and builds. And we're at a point in history where that snowball effect is, it's unstoppable. Nothing can stop good from coming to this earth. So everybody out there, keep your chin up. I love everybody. I really do. I really do. I love myself. I don't always like myself. I certainly don't always like my behavior. But, I've got to accept the grace that God offers me and forgive myself. Confess to God and confess to man as you have wronged another. It's important to admit when you're wrong. That's one of the most basic precepts you get in any of these 12-step programs out there, is you admit you're wrong. You make an amends quickly. Get it off your chest. And bless everybody. Think throughout the day, who you might have said a careless thing to. And say, God, please bless that person. Who you might have thought a careless thought to, because thoughts are things too. So just the things we're not being careful enough to purge out of our heart, out of our mind, are weighing us down. And we need to get them off our chest. And that's the way you do it, in prayer, in just tuning into that connection that every one of us has as a beloved creature, as a very special, top of the food chain. Nothing more valuable in this earth. Not the gold, not the silver, not anything on earth is more valuable to God than you, than me, than to humanity collectively. We are the image and likeness of God on earth. So, anyhow, I hope that you all have a great day. And there's one last thing I wanted to mention, is that, when I talk about genocidal maniacs, I want to give an example of what I'm saying that made the mainstream media recently. And it's happening right in front of our faces. The genocide is being perpetrated by abject poverty, and I object to it. And if I was running the system, I would end abject poverty tomorrow. Okay, yesterday, and that means homelessness. I mean, that is the exemplification of poverty is homelessness. When people would rather have a shelter than be out in the cold, and there's plenty of shelter. I mean, do you understand why I do what I do? I'm standing up for these people because they really don't have a voice. Nobody seems to respect them, but I do. And like I mentioned before, these could be angelic plants. God is testing us. I mean, do you understand that something very bad is going to happen to this country? Okay? If we neglect the downtrodden among us, the weak among us. And genocide is being committed upon these people. Hitler, one of the target groups for Hitler was the poor. Okay? So understand what I'm saying is valid. If there's no reason for people to die out in the cold, they're hustling to get enough shelters and all this time of year. And this is chronic, perpetual problem that only seems to grow worse. Oh, folks, if it didn't exist, a lot of people wouldn't have jobs. Okay? If you ended poverty. This is how insane the system is that the problems persist and proliferate because they need to, for other people to have job security. I mean, it's really that simple. And I'm not being cynical to say that. I am not a conspiracy theorist. I'm a very practical, down-to-earth guy, but I also want to know the truth. And when you discover the truth, you gain wisdom. And it's not easy to walk around with a lot of wisdom, to know right from wrong, and feel you're living in a world where a lot of people really don't know the deeper things. They don't understand how imperative for us to understand what's really going on here. That to say that the God of this world is money, this is how they're diseasing us, infecting us with this virus, this God of this world. It is Satan. It really is. For all intents and purposes, just think of Satan as an evil spirit. Think of God as a good spirit. You know, bad spirit, good spirit. Bad angel, good angel. And, you know, we just need to tune into that and realize what's going on here. And the genocide is on the poor. And, of course, we know they're poisoning our food and our water, okay, and our drink. Look at substances like high fructose corn syrup. I mean, everybody knows. Diabetes is expected to explode. And, you know, one can only wonder why. It's these sugars that are refined or made of such substances that our bodies can't handle them. You know, and then aspartame. I mean, it's got to be exponentially worse than high fructose corn syrup. It'll kill you lickety split. You know, and all the different ways, all the other poisons that are in our food and water are unnecessary. How about the pesticides, the herbicides, the genetically modified, all this stuff, even artificial fertilizers? You can have it all. We don't need any of that stuff, okay? And, you know, as far as the earth being overpopulated and all this jazz, listen, let Mother Nature do her thing, all right? San Diego has taken sewer water and turned it into clean drinking water, okay? This can be done all around the world. So, you know, the whole idea is just nonsense from the pit of hell. And the motivation of these people, I mean, one can only wonder what it is. But they don't like humanity. Basically, they see humanity as the plague, a blight on the earth. And these people are like the black, they're 10 times worse than the Black Plague. These people are a plague to the nth degree. And that's how they want to kill us all. And that miasma is thick in the air. Okay? And the way they maintain it is through this fear. Extracting, you know, against our will, illegitimately taking their pound of flesh through keeping us in fear, in that perverted form of reverence to their God, the God of this world, money. Because without money, there'd be no way they could operate. So that's why I always say, you know, you can't compromise on your ideals, because an ideal society has to admit money has no place. Because inherently it gives somebody an advantage over another. If you have this magical substance, you've got an advantage. If you don't have it, you're at a disadvantage. It's really rudimentary. So anyhow, I'm going to go to this mainstream media clip just so I can show the evidence. And just the other night I mentioned that night there was going to be people dying because there was going to be a hard freeze. And right here locally, I'm in Chico, California, but I believe it was San Jose. I think 3 people, guys in their 40s and 50s, you know, my age group, died out in the cold. So you want to see how genocide is being carried out right before your eyes? I'm going to show you.
Emergency workers handed out blankets and supplies at this homeless encampment in San Jose known as Camp Azuray, where Santa Clara County agencies say a homeless man died in the cold snap during the past 2 days. Other homeless people there were sad about the death and worried about themselves.
It scares me because I'm going through the same cold. It's very freezing at night. Can't sleep.
Today, the medical examiner's office and public health officials say 3 homeless men, all in their 40s or 50s, died basically of hypothermia at several encampments. No names have been released. The Office of Emergency Services provided 600 blankets to the agency EHC Life Builders to deliver to the homeless tonight, and EHC expanded its 3 shelters to accommodate hundreds of extra beds.
In this community where we have so much wealth and innovation and all this stuff, we had several people lose their lives simply because it was too cold. And that should not happen.
Officials also say a fourth man, described as homeless, died last week in a garage in Saratoga, but did not provide any more details.
Anybody dying on the streets is horrible news, and so we're trying to do anything we can just to get them inside.
It's just hard. It's hard. Day-to-day living is hard.
Emergency workers say they plan to be out again throughout the weekend because of the expected rainy weather, which they say will only make conditions at these camps more dangerous. In San Jose, Robert Honda, KTVU, Channel 2 News.